Hi!
Hola! Moi moi!
We're bilingual today, and Cristina brings the bi to the program, so we're very happy about that. Go. These are your Mind Minutes! And this is Cristina, I'm Ken, and we are happy today because we're talking about happiness, what it takes to be happy. I think part of happiness is having fun. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Happiness is all about enjoying the moment, but it's also about knowing that you have a future ahead of you and being okay with your past. So Cristina, what are some good ways for people to enjoy the moment?
Now, a few good ways to enjoy the moment is to let go, first and foremost, of the past, and to stop analyzing or wondering what your expectations for the future are going to be, and allow yourself to be grounded in your body.
So kind of living in the now.
The power of now.
Beautiful.
And there's many different books out, different things. You can walk into a self-help section today in any bookstore, the few that are actually still open, and you walk in and look in the aisle and you'll see probably 10, 20 of them have somewhere in there about being present, being now, in the moment, being in the now. And the reason for that is because the majority of people, let's face it, don't live in the now.
Most people live in their heads, and what I mean by that is that most people will think about what happened and really dwell on that. And that's what depression kind of feels like, by the way. While other people will catastrophize about the future, or just be in the future, or, oh, when I get that, then I'll be happy.
Or worse off, they will analyze what might go wrong in the future and worry, or plan it out to every detail. And if any of you have actually tried to plan an event or a gathering, or anything in life, it does not ever, I repeat, ever happen like you planned. Even if it's something as simple as a dinner party, and you're gonna cook, I don't know, dinner, and it's gonna be served at 6:30, and some people are gonna bring certain items, you know what to expect is that the unexpected will happen. And that dinner probably won't get served at 6:30. People will probably forget to bring certain things that they brought. And, you know, more people will show up, less people will show up. It will never go as you planned.
Which brings us to the next point. Flexibility, I think, is the key to being happy.
Absolutely. You know, on that.
Yes. Notice the change of flow, change of direction. I'm going to be flexible now. We're going off script, probably because we didn't write one.
No, flexibility is because in having flexibility, you're not so attached to the outcome. Most of the time, people put so much emphasis on the outcome that they get largely disappointed when it doesn't happen exactly like they planned, which, as we just went over, is never going to happen exactly as you planned.
So if you're comparing your life to the preset plan that you had in motion and saying why this isn't exactly the way I wanted it, well, that's a great recipe to really think that your life is not good. Conversely, if you'd like to enjoy your life, maybe you should stop. Notice what's in the moment right now that you're doing. Notice what you're enjoying about this minute. Maybe it's just that you're comfortable where you're sitting. It can be something small. You know, you don't always have to focus on being a multi-millionaire rock star who's able to win Olympic events and have the ultimate relationship. I know it's on the list of things to do.
Win Olympic events and be a rock star. But yeah, I mean, of course, you can create a whole bunch of plans of action for your life and goals. And we're not talking about that people shouldn't have goals and aspirations that they're moving towards. It's more that when you find gratitude for what is already in existence in your life, what do you currently have that you're grateful for? You know, you're sitting in front of a computer watching this right now, whether you're in a library doing it or it's your own computer or whatever you're doing, you have that means. So you're probably in some sheltered area. I mean, these are...
A roof over your head is huge when you don't have one. But when you have one, you tend to forget it. You tend to take it for granted. And I think that's part of it, too, in today's society. If you think about all of history, everyone that's ever lived in history, do you know what? There's only been a tiny percent that had plumbing that was indoors. And right there, that makes life much better, if you ask me. I'm not a camper. We think we've discussed that before. I'm not a camper. I don't like camping. Part of the reason I don't like camping is I enjoy indoor plumbing. I really am thankful for it. I'm thankful for the fact that I have a roof and heat and food, because I've seen people who don't, and I know that the world exists out there. So also part of being happy, I think, is appreciating what you have and realizing it could always be much worse. I think a lot of times we only look towards what could be better about the situation.
Yeah, what could be better or what happened that was wrong or bad. But on that note, is anything really wrong or bad? Is anything really a mistake?
Well, I think if you talk to my prom date, some decisions that were made might have been made better.
Well, that's a whole nother video. We'll get into mistakes and how they're just opportunities. But on this one, with it, the other problem that we have, I think, in society and people have that hinders their ability to be happy is that they're given so many choices and opportunities that it actually forms them the inability to make a decision. If you have 120 channels to watch and you've narrowed it down to 20 shows that you'd like to see at that hour, the moment that you're watching one of them, you're going to be thinking about what is that other show like, or what is that other movie like. And this happens have you ever been to a restaurant that there's like pages and pages on the menu, and you're like, okay, you know for certain that you want one of like 4 things, and then you finally decide, you order it. And I know you out there have done this at least once, wondered, this is good, but what would it have been like if I ordered that other dish I was thinking about?
Do you know what? I've never done that. And I think that's part of the reason that I'm happy a lot of the time, is I just don't do that. Some people do that. And part of it comes to what do you sort for? Do you sort for variety, or do you sort for sameness? I tend to sort for sameness. I enjoy something, I'm going to enjoy it tomorrow, the next day, the next day. Some people sort for variety. That's going to be a topic on a whole different mind minutes.
Yeah.
But
So Ken, you may not have ever done the restaurant thing, but I'm sure that at some point you were, deciding between a certain purchase or a certain something that you were going to do for an evening or whatever it may be, and you had multiple options and they all sounded good. And then you decided to do one of them. And I know that this is a little bit different because you tend to be happy the majority of the time, but if you can think back to one of those times when maybe you weren't as happy or more disappointed, and in that, have you had the occurrence of looking back at one of those other choices that you could have done and said,
I'd have to go back a long way, because for me it was really one of the keys to getting happier in my life, was not doing the thing that I call the if only. If only this, then that. Because
See?
there is no if only.
So a living example, smile, happiness. No, and I became a vegetarian about 7 years ago, and so I have the same thing on the menu now, because when I go places, there's a few items that I can have, so I very much narrow it down on that. So I do know what you mean, and it does make the food more enjoyable.
You know what you're going to get. Conversely, just a moment ago, Cristina turned me on to a vegetarian pepper steak wrap. Something I would never have tried on my own, and because I sort for sameness. But I said, you know what? I'll go with her judgment. She seems to be happy too. She seems to know what she's talking about. She's in great shape. I think it's time I'd be a little more healthy. Let me give this a try. In that moment, I was making a choice for happiness, though, because my choice was, I'll give it a try, and then I'll enjoy it. And even if it wasn't the best thing in the world, I'd still choose to find something enjoyable. Because the bottom line is this, ready? Are you ready for the real key, the kicker? Happiness is a choice. What are you choosing?
And that's, on that note, it is. I mean, that's the ultimate of it. But as you were talking, it made me think of something that, that whatever it is that you choose to do, remembering that everything that you do in every single second of the day is a choice, okay? And so if you're choosing to do it, even if it's not the best thing in the world, you still made that choice to show up for work. Even if you hate your job, you made the choice. You didn't have to go. I know some of you out there have called in sick before. Or,
maybe today.
Yeah. or whatever else the reason may be. Now, is there always going to be consequences for your actions? Yes. But don't forget that you're still at choice there. Because if something happened that you really needed to do something else, you would make that choice, and that tells you in that moment that you have a choice.
So that's actually a topic we're going to do on another mind thing. Choice versus feeling that you are at cause versus feeling you're at effect.
Okay, well, we'll get back to that in a minute. We'll tell them all the topics we're going to do.
You know what happens? We start talking, and then there's a million things that come up, and as soon as the camera stops rolling, we start making all these notes. And then we look at each other and go, maybe we should make notes before we start talking. But we don't, because we're too happy.
Da-da-da-da.
And that's been your Mind Minutes.
Thank you. Thank you.
I like that one.
Okay.
That was goofy.